Speaking of spicy, Intel announces a photonic chip with scads of threads.
Scads.
Scads.
That's a metric term. Metric scads. It's a real unit.
I don't believe you.
It's like a moment. We use it colloquially, but it's actually a real thing.
That one's actually true, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Scads is true. Look it up.
Is it actually?
Yes.
No, I'm not going to do it.
He's going to do it.
Nope.
He has to now.
Nope.
Because
nope.
know that
Intel
I
has unveiled PIUMA, a photonic chip that is based on custom RISC architecture with 8 cores and 66 threads per core for a total of 528 threads. Modern x86 CPUs usually have only 2 threads per core with some exceptions. Such as Intel's Xeon Phi, which had 4 threads per core, IBM's Power 8, which had 8.
Which isn't a modern x86 chip, but is a modern chip.
Yeah. And Sun's Spark chips, which went up to 16.
Which is also not x86, but...
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just that we said modern x86.
No, I totally got you. Yeah, yep. It's worded weird. The chip only uses 75 watts of power and uses 32 optical I/O ports that each operate at 32 gigs per second per...
Direction. Wow.
Holy crap. For a total of 1 terabyte per second of total bandwidth. There are optical interconnects between chips so they can be connected together in 8 socket server sleds that in turn interconnect with each other.
Yeah, so like optical networking like directly to I forget what tour we were on.
I think Riley called this Sam Altman's wet dream, which I thought was hilarious.
We were on a tour where we were looking at a configuration that had basically like fiber optic connectivity between, what were they, like daughter boards or something? I can't remember. Man, it's escaping me now. But it was super cool. And they were kind of talking to us about the future of like scalability in the data center and how as they get fiber optics closer and closer to the actual dies, we're going to see the lines blur between what is a chip and what is many chips and what is many servers full of many chips.
Computing unit.
Yeah, it's our discussion question here is, will this ever make sense for the consumer-prosumer market? Honestly, ever is a really, really big word, but I don't see it coming anytime soon. I mean, both...
Soon, I don't think so, but ever, I actually do think so.
Both Intel and AMD have completely abandoned even HEDT.
You're running, you as in Dan, not the audience, you are running like LLM AI stuff at home, yeah? Yeah. So, Dan isn't everyone in the world currently, but there's really cool applications for having your own version at home that could potentially learn off yourself in the long run. Maybe not so much right now, but in the long run. And also, it keeps it more private. There's benefits. Do you think you could see that becoming a thing?
What, running them at home?
Yeah. For like average people?
We were really hoping that there was going to be this breakthrough technology. One sec. Which would basically bring like data center level GPU production to the home from consumer cards, but that ended up not materializing. There's some more development in that space right now.
When we talked about that, I hardcore called it. I remember that conversation.
That it wasn't going to be possible? Oh yeah, I by that point I knew it wasn't going to be possible. But there's some new stuff that's probably kind of exciting in that space too. So that's kind of not going to be happening. But the 4090s and these high-end cards that are consumer grade actually perform a lot better than some of the dedicated machine learning cards that NVIDIA produces.
Pretty wild.
The only downside is that you can't squish 16 of them together into one big GPU.
So and your VRAM
they're not
limited.
Super data center friendly.
And so that's a disadvantage. But it's really nice. We're kind of doing it. I'm doing it at home more as like the hype's died down now. And so now we're learning. Now we're actually trying to build tools. We're trying to figure out how they function. We're trying to understand how they work with GPUs. Why are they limited to single GPU? Why can't that be spread across multiple GPUs? Why is inference only able to happen in a single section of VRAM? Why can't that be segmented or something like that? And learning how LLMs function, the different types of tunes and models and LoRa's and all the little settings that you don't get to play with when you're using the big boy online LLMs.
So this all to me feels like something that is not consumer ready yet, But it's in that niche enthusiast space where it might actually get to consumers eventually.
A lot of people have been producing really, really easy tools that you can basically, you go to one GitHub page, you download a one-click installer.
You've already lost 90% of people.
I mean, yeah, but I mean, that is way easier than building something from source.
For sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, definitely.
So somebody who's a little bit computer savvy, I mean, the entry point for everybody is just these online websites, right? But then you're just playing with them. You're not like tinkering, right? But it's pretty easy to get going. And they run on consumer cards.
I think we could see this type of tech being in the home for sure. Just
hell yeah.
Definitely not now.
And the nice thing is, if you're worried about privacy, like I want to play with having a home assistant AI in my house.
Yeah.
I don't want all the microphones in my house calling back to Google or Amazon or Microsoft every 6 seconds, so it runs in my bedroom. You know, that's the kind of space where I'm really seeing this is going to shine.
Farhan Hadi says at Linus it was the IBM tour where they had like 8 CPUs sharing cache between chips. Yeah, like oh man, that was cool stuff. So yeah, if you guys check out the IBM Z tour that we did, IBM reached out recently. They want to work together again because they were like thrilled with how that video went. But honestly, I was thrilled with how that video went too, but I'm a little bit worried that so much of what we were able to say the first time around is going to be redundant the second time around because Z moves slowly. And that's kind of the point, right? Is that they're cutting edge, but in sort of a lumbering, big iron,
giant icebreaker style
kind of way,
edge, getting into unfound territory, but you're chugging.
Yeah, and so I worry that if I were to go do it again, I'd be like, what is Z for? The same thing it was for last time, but this one's even more wild and better. But then maybe I'm underestimating them. Maybe I'm going to show up and they're going to be like, oh yeah, but you know, what about this? So who knows? I was blown away by the kind of cool stuff they had. Just everything from their custom memory modules to those optical interconnects and stuff. It's super cool.
Yeah.